Chapter 001 Genesis Subject 24 Valkyrie Solution Administered. Survival Duration 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Time of Death 04:22 a.m. Who's speaking? The voice echoed in the silence of his apartment, yet he was utterly alone. Harlan's eyes snapped open, assaulted by the glare of white lights. The familiar contours of his gaming pod were gone, replaced by a stark white ceiling. The walls, also white, possessed a cold metallic sheen, lending the room a sterile, sci-fi ambience. It resembled nothing so much as an intensive care unit. He lay on a cold metal platform, his bare torso crisscrossed with wires snaking from various monitoring devices. The metal beneath his back was icy, chilling him to the core. A cluster of figures in white coats, researchers judging by their demeanor, ringed the platform. Their faces etched with disbelief, bordering on horror. Wasn't I just taking a new client's order, leveling a fresh account? A standard start, wasn't it? Where the hell am I? Harlan's head throbbed, his thoughts a jumbled mess, as if crammed with an overwhelming influx of data. His last coherent memory was accepting a power-leveling commission in Star Ocean. The character creation screen shimmering before him, and then a pungent, acrid smell like burning protein. Quick, notify Miss Heller, the subject is alive. Alert security, we need to contain Subject 24 immediately. The white coats erupted in panicked shouts. Harlan didn't recognize their language. Yet the meanings resonated: subject, survival time, security. The words painted a chilling picture. Outside the door, the hurried thud of approaching footsteps grew louder. Closer, stay put and wait, or bolt. Hesitation lasted a heartbeat. Harlan chose the latter. Passivity wasn't in his nature. With a surge of adrenaline, he ripped free from the tangle of wires, the sensors tearing from his skin. He stumbled, disoriented, towards the lab door. The white coats recoiled instinctively. Offering no resistance, bang, the door crashed open, revealing a long, white corridor. At either end, a dozen figures in black tactical gear, security personnel, surged forward, electric batons raised. Harlan's breath hitched as he recognized the half-sprouted sapling emblem emblazoned on their left breast pockets. Seedling, from Star Ocean version 1.0, weren't they supposed to be extinct? A security guard swung his baton, the weapon whistling through the air before crashing down. Harlan instinctively threw up an arm to shield himself. A jolt of searing agony ripped through him, every nerve screaming. His bones felt as if they were about to shatter. Half his body instantly numb. This pain, it's 100%, Harlan gasped in disbelief. Star Ocean capped pain feedback at 40% to prevent nerve damage. Beyond that threshold, the game's systems should trigger an emergency disconnect. His gaming pod, barely 7 years old, was malfunctioning again. Damn it. The technician who'd fixed it just days ago, pocketing 300 credits with a smug guarantee of 6 months of trouble-free operation, was clearly a fraud. He'd be calling customer service for a refund later, assuming he got out of this alive. Then they were on him, a dozen burly, robust security guards. Swarming like a pack of wolves, Harlan got a brutal first-hand experience of being mobbed by heavily armed men. He was wrestled to the ground, roughly hauled to his feet, and frog-marched down the corridor. They shoved him into a cramped, windowless cell, the heavy door slamming shut and locking with a metallic clang. The guards retreated, leaving him alone in the oppressive darkness, pitch black, utter silence save for his own ragged breathing. Harlan groaned, gingerly rubbing his throbbing wrist. Trying to regain feeling in his limbs, another wave of head-splitting pain crashed over him, a torrent of fragmented information flooding his mind. It took a long, agonizing while, but gradually, the chaotic jumble began to coalesce, forming a coherent narrative. I've transmigrated into Star Ocean. Harlan's eyes widened, a look of utter astonishment blanketing his face. Star Ocean, a fully immersive holographic game, its servers spanning the globe, boasting a peak concurrent player count nearing 60 million. The game's setting, the vast expanse of space, its maps and environments, algorithmically generated by cutting-edge quantum computers, were impossibly vast, capable of supporting hundreds of millions of players simultaneously. Guilds and corporations thrived within its digital cosmos, grinding for loot, running dungeons, and trading in-game assets for real-world currency. A single piece of top-tier equipment could fetch hundreds of thousands, even millions of US dollars. A game this popular had to be meticulously balanced. It needed to cater to wealthy, whale players without alienating the casual base, the key to this delicate equilibrium. Competitive gameplay, skill and strategy were paramount. Star Ocean was no exception, spawning a thriving ecosystem of professional gamers and esports leagues. Harlan earned his living through gaming, but the lofty title of professional gamer was far beyond his reach. He was, in the eyes of most players, a reviled figure. A power-leveling mercenary, a faceless entity grinding away for profit, a lone wolf without a guild or studio to back him. As a Star Ocean veteran, a grizzled grindhouse warrior, Harlan had weathered every expansion, every patch, every meta shift. He was a minor celebrity in his own right, a fixture in the Chinese server's top 100 rankings. Last he checked, he was sitting at 47th. By rights, with his skill, a career in pro gaming should have been a given, but Harlan was, at heart, a mercenary of convenience, a grinder by inclination, a power leveler fueled by, well, the need to pay rent. Seedling, Star Ocean version 1.0, one of the starting factions. Based on the newbie planet, Aquamarine, the Seedling incident, Harlan muttered to himself, piecing it together. In his time, Star Ocean had been running for well over a decade. Version 1.0 was ancient history. Had he traveled back in time, Harlan's expression darkened, which meant that 300 credits for the pod repair were gone forever. Slap, Harlan smacked himself in the face. Time travel, and he was fixated on a measly repair bill. Idiot, his memories were fragmented, incomplete. He knew nothing of this body's past, not even a name. Only a smattering of general knowledge about this world remained. He knew the date, at least. Star Calendar 687. The official public launch of Star Ocean was in 688. In the era of version 1.0, the three colossal interstellar powers the Radiant Federation, the Crimson Empire, and the Ethereal Covenant still maintained the fragile peace that had endured since the end of the Age of Exploration, tens of thousands of years prior. The Silver Revolution had yet to ignite. The source of the looming null singularity calamity slumbered on some forgotten, desolate planet. The glimmering worlds were yet to be discovered. The World Tree civilization hadn't launched its grand invasion of explored space. Aquamarine, nestled in the shattered star ring, remained a backwater on the galactic fringe. To maintain player engagement, Star Ocean had borrowed a page from an ancient game called Mountain of Mouths. Every expansion was a cataclysm, a world-altering event. Gul'dan Yanzu had been messing things up for years, only to be curb-stomped by Illidan Stormridge. Wait, why again? The Burning Legion was perpetually invading. Who knew how many more times they'd return? Star Ocean had clearly learned from Mountain of Mouths' playbook. In the game, it was thrilling, but in reality, Buddy got a return ticket. Compared to the galactic-scale catastrophes of later versions, the Seedling incident was small potatoes. But for Harlan, right here, right now, it was a deadly predicament. Aquamarine's environment is Earth-like. Seedling is an organization aiming to overthrow national governments. If memory serves, Valkyrie experiment subjects, they're all brainwashed, turned into cannon fodder. This body, it was raw material, used for Seedling's human experimentation. His past memories were fractured, fragmented. Beyond general knowledge, all that remained were disjointed images of imprisonment, of experiments, around 20 years old. His appearance vaguely resembled his former self. Healthy, that was debatable. He remembered the white coat's words. He'd been injected with the Valkyrie solution. Seedling's gene-enhancing cocktail designed to boost brain function, 70% mortality rate, but in his case, something had changed suddenly. A semi-transparent blue text window materialized before his eyes. You have been injected with Valkyrie solution. Stamina potential +1. Acquired trait. Heightened focus. Acquired trait, low-grade mental resilience. The interface? A surge of elation coursed through Harlan. His vision shimmered, and the familiar translucent blue interface of Star Ocean unfolded before him. Overlaid on his reality, unobtrusive, yet clear as day, name, Harlan race, carbon-based human, yellow template, NPC, Star Ocean Public Launch version 1. 0 countdown, 358 days, 11 hours, 03 minutes total level, 1 experience, 0 subclass, commoner LV1, 0/50 main class, non-personal attributes, strength 2. Agility 2, Stamina 3, Intelligence 3, Mysticism 1, Charisma 2, Luck 1 free attribute points, 0 Chi, 0 LV 0 energy level, 1/2 rank, F mortal, combat effectiveness of a level 5 trash mob. Any random NPC on the street could wipe the floor with you 100 times over. Health points, 23/30, sprained, stamina points, 36/36 traits. Heightened focus increases learning and crafting speed by 10%. Low-grade mental resilience grants +3 to willpower checks. Skills, none potential points, 0 class skill tree, locked influence, none legendary status. 0 equipment, non-Star Ocean's game interface. Thank heavens it was still with him. Grace be upon handsome men, but Harlan quickly registered the anomalies. NPC template. He wasn't a player. Version 1.0 public launch countdown. Harlan's brow furrowed, several crucial facts clicking into place. First, while he wasn't sure why the attribute interface had followed him across dimensions. This was reality, real, tangible. Every life here was precious, irreplaceable. Death wasn't a game mechanic. No respawn. Second, he'd transmigrated as an NPC, yet retained a player's system interface. Undeniably good news. He could level up, grow stronger, like a player character. Third, the public launch countdown. Reality had seemingly reverted to a time before Star Ocean's official release. He'd genuinely traveled back in time, which meant those past players would soon be arriving again. Fourth, and most importantly, his current situation was critically dangerous. Harlan groaned inwardly. Other transmigrators got fairytale starts. 500 gold. 10 starting units, resources, allies, maybe even a conveniently amnesiac ex-girlfriend. At the very least, they started in relative safety. A shadowy antagonist might plot their downfall from the shadows. But he was in a combat scenario from the get-go, a lone hero stranded in enemy territory. One wrong move and game over, assuming there was an afterlife. Like some sort of NPC Valhalla, Harlan lacked player resurrection. He had one life. Wasting it here was regrettable. Yes, regrettable. A subtle shift from the normal, I have to survive mentality. As for grand pronouncements like, my fate is my own, or heaven dares to destroy me, I will destroy heaven, those were best left to late-stage Tunabiu sufferers. What the hell? Am I the only one stuck in Sword Art Online? Harlan muttered, a wry edge to his voice. Despite the hyperrealistic sensory input, a profound sense of unreality gnawed at him. What was the nature of his existence now? A true, breathing life, or just a string of data, soul transmigration, or something else entirely? Well, in for a penny. In for a pound, one step at a time, Harlan resolved. Whatever he was now, if he didn't fancy a heroic sacrifice, he needed a survival strategy. Just under a year until public launch. A year to prepare before the player locust swarm descended. That was the only silver lining, the only flicker of hope in this bleak situation. He knew firsthand the destructive potential of players. Like a plague of locusts, harbingers of chaos and madness, Clang, the cell door swung open again. Figures silhouetted against the corridor light entered. Backlit, their features were obscured, but Harlan could make out the willowy silhouette of the leader, a woman, slender yet undeniably voluptuous, subject's condition. The woman addressed her subordinates, her voice a husky contralto, like rich, dark coffee, languid yet undeniably seductive. Appears to be out of the agitated phase. Replied Vivian, the head researcher, her gaze intense, possessive, as she scrutinized Harlan, as if assessing a prized possession. Harlan croaked, his throat raw. "Who are you people?" Memory deviation. The woman's eyebrow arched. Valkyrie stimulates the brain. Memory loss is a normal side effect, Vivian explained. Her eyes narrowed, his vision adjusting to the light. Harlan finally saw the woman's face. He was instantly struck dumb. A cascade of auburn curls framed a face both sharp and soft. Half hidden by the fiery mane, dressed in a skin-tight black tactical suit, her figure was breathtaking, straining the fabric as if on the verge of bursting free. She radiated raw, primal femininity, a potent cocktail of Western angularity and Eastern softness, hinting at mixed heritage. Dark eyeliner accentuated her eyes, lending an air of world-weary sophistication, a serpentine allure. If Daji had possessed this kind of beauty, King Zhu's downfall would be entirely justified. Harlan thought inanely, Hela, the director here. The redhead fixed Harlan with a piercing gaze, then waved a dismissive hand. "Take him for blood work. I want the results on my desk immediately." Two impassive security guards, faces like granite, stepped forward, seizing Harlan's arms, one on each side, and hauled him out of the cell. Harlan glanced at the guards' powerful physiques, the holstered sidearms at their waists, and instantly abandoned any thought of resistance. He recognized Red Viper Hela, a boss encounter in Star Ocean's Aquamarine Challenge scenario, Valkyrie Laboratory, a seedling underboss, in version 1.0. Hela had been the bane of countless newbie players starting on Aquamarine, driving them to rage quit and flood the forums with complaints, earning her the nickname, the Rage Quit Queen. In the future, she would ascend to become a stellar powerhouse in the Colton Cluster, a Calamity-class threat, known throughout the Shattered Star Ring as the Death Goddess. Harlan inwardly groaned. His current predicament was decidedly Arctic, freezing cold and utterly hopeless. Chapter 002 Mechanical Affinity before the story truly begins. A brief introduction to our protagonist is in order. Harlan, undeniably male, bore a name that occasionally caused confusion. The reason was simple. His mother's surname was Han. His father's Zyro, direct, straightforward, and with a certain profound resonance. 30 years young, living alone, happily unburdened by family obligations. Appearance-wise, he was the type who, if bribed by the kid next door with $20 to pretend to be a guardian at a parent-teacher conference, would be cheerfully addressed as Big Bro by the 30-year-old uncle sitting next to him. Slightly disheveled, perhaps, but within the Star Ocean community, he was a well-connected, minor celebrity, a notable figure. His main account ID, Old Man Chatting Up Teens, was widely recognized, the kind of player who, strolling through a player city, could feel the envious, admiring gazes of casual gamers on official forums. In threads dissecting top Chinese server players, his annotation was succinct: unpredictable combat style, professional-level reflexes, proficient in all 5 classes. With a particular mastery of mechanics. Compared to other top players' multi-page analyzes, Harlan's was just a single, laconic sentence. Rumor had it he disliked the limelight, consistently turning down interviews with game journalists, maintaining a low profile. The truth was, whenever approached for an interview, he desperately hoped to insert a surreptitious advertisement at the start. Are you still struggling with 10-match losing streaks in the arena? Are you tired of getting spawn-camped in open-world PvP? Star Ocean veteran, power leveler here. Accepting gold farming, power leveling, revenge quests, and rank boosting. Reasonable rates, negotiable prices, no risk, no regret, honest service, scammers GTFO. Contact ID. Reality proved that even in the parallel universe of 2060, unsolicited advertising was still viewed with extreme prejudice. Hence Harlan's perpetually empty client queue. Sigh, gotta eat, right? Life forces your hand. Harlan was led back to the lab, where they proceeded to draw blood for analysis. Base layout and terrain unknown. Number of armed personnel unknown. With his newbie stats bordering on combat incompetence, any reckless resistance would be, well, suicidal. The guards in the corridor looked like they were around level 5 to 8. Operative subclass, elite normals. If he remembered correctly, Heller at this point was a seedling executive, an E-rank awakened, a psionic type, energy level over 500 owner. Combat power, conservatively estimated, she could probably take 1,000 of him. In exploration calendar 23,333, a genius had codified the principles of Chi cultivation, establishing a unified theoretical foundation for all cosmic cultivation systems, ushering in the awakened era. Awakened beings, superhumans, began to emerge. Reshaping civilization, Star Ocean was a stage for awakens. There were 5 primary awakened systems: psionic, martial arts, mechanics, magic, and psychic. These were Star Ocean's main classes. Class skill books were required for specialization. Classes were divided into main classes and subclasses. Main classes were limited to the 5 awakened systems, while subclasses were far more diverse and didn't require skill books. Every newbie entering Star Ocean faced the same initial hurdle: finding a class skill book and choosing a main class. New character creation offered 2 starting options. One was the standard start, where the system provided a set of non-drop newbie gear, basic clothes, shoes, etc., a fixed amount of starting currency, and a choice of starting locations on a newbie planet, typically in different faction territories. Stable, reliable starts. The other was random start, plunging the newbie character into a unique, often perilous, event, with risks and potential rewards in equal measure. Harlan's current predicament strongly resembled a random start gone sideways. Although the game had become reality, it was still a familiar setting. He had experience to draw upon. Harlan forced himself to remain calm. Shortly after, the blood test results came back. Heller took the report from Vivian, her brow furrowing slightly. Blood work normal, no anomalies. Vivian, Valkyrie solution primarily targets the brain. Perhaps we should trepan his skull and analyze brain activity directly. Open my skull and extract brain juice. Would he even survive that? Harlan thought grimly. Heller waved a hand dismissively. He's the first Valkyrie subject to survive. Unless absolutely necessary, no destructive procedures. Harlan's eyes flickered. Maybe this first survivor status could be leveraged. Vivian clearly disagreed with Heller's restraint. What a waste of prime research material. So much potential squandered. Then we'll observe him for a while, see what capabilities the Valkyrie solution has enhanced. Heller's cold eyes narrowed. Brainwash him first. Brainwash? Harlan's heart sank. Brainwashing was standard procedure for controlling subordinates. Brainwashed players would automatically join the corresponding faction. But now, his life was real. The worst-case scenario, genuine alteration of his thoughts. His consciousness, absolutely unacceptable. The good news, 1.0 Aquamarine hadn't yet developed memory-altering tech. Seedling's brainwashing methods were relatively primitive, using visual and auditory stimuli to overload and recalibrate the subject's mind. Intelligence above 10 points could resist brainwashing. Valkyrie solution had given him +1 stamina potential. Potential, a hidden stat, influenced attribute growth. Human potential in Star Ocean was middling, but intelligence was their strongest suit. This +1 stamina potential, for Harlan, was invaluable. Heightened focus, plus 10% learning and crafting speed, boosted efficiency, low-grade mental resilience, plus 3 willpower, essentially plus 3 intelligence for resisting mental influence. To resist brainwashing, he still needed 3 more intelligence points. Commoner class level-ups randomly add 1 stat point and 1 free attribute point. Chance of getting intelligence is too low. Harlan was realistic. When it came to lotteries, his luck was infamously abysmal. If there were gods watching over him, they were probably gods of misfortune. A new class was a far more reliable path. At present, Harlan was restrained, unable to act freely, but random starts rarely meant utter hopelessness. There had to be an opening, a chance. Then it struck him. Wait, he was an NPC now. Did NPCs get the systems built in, player privilege? Surely not that cruel. Take him for brainwashing. Hela waved and left the room. The same 2 grim-faced guards, 30,000 credits owed, and 10 days constipated, flanked him again. The former looked like everyone owed him a fortune. The latter had the perpetually constipated scowl of his landlord when rent was due. They led him to another room, filled with complex machinery. Vivian went to adjust the equipment. 30,000 credits and constipated 10 days strapped Harlan into a chair. 10 meters away, a wall of glass bookshelves lined the room. Harlan glanced at the shelves. Rows of titles swam into view. Tom's Basic Mechanical Theory, On Human and Lizard Gene Compatibility, Red's Hypothesis, Research Materials, It Seemed, Wait, Class Skill books mixed in. Heaven never bars all roads. Harlan's spirits lifted. The 2 guards loomed behind, watchful. Any sudden move would likely trigger an attack, but Harlan didn't hesitate. He stood abruptly and walked towards the bookshelf. The sudden movement startled the others. 30,000 credits and constipated 10 days drew their sidearms in 0.6 seconds, gun muzzles boring into his back. Harlan's face remained impassive, his steps unwavering. Don't shoot, please. My health is paper thin. 1 shot and I'm done. Then Vivian's voice from behind. Hold on, see what he's doing? 30,000 credits and constipated 10 days hesitated, their fingers easing off the triggers. Harlan breathed a silent sigh of relief. He'd gambled and won. As long as he showed no aggressive intent, his first successful subject status was his shield. His erratic behavior would be dismissed as experimental side effects. Tom's Basic Mechanical Theory, Mechanical Class Basic Skill Book. His target. He grabbed the book, flipping through the pages. The contents were dense. Technical Mechanical Theory. The jargon, the intricate diagrams were baffling. Harlan forced himself to scan the pages, his patience stretched thin. After a few seconds, the interface flashed. You have completed a basic self-study session of mechanical knowledge, based on your intelligence, basic assembly learning progress. 2.0%, heightened focus bonus, plus 0.2%, it works. Harlan's spirits soared. He couldn't understand a word, but the system was registering, processing. Learning, Vivian watched, bewildered. The subject's actions learning. Could the experiment have enhanced learning ability, curiosity overriding caution? Vivian didn't intervene. Silence descended, broken only by the rustle of turning pages. Basic assembly learning progress 15%, plus 1.5%, 29%, plus 2.9%, 48%. Plus 4.8%, the page-turning speed accelerated. Harlan maintained a poker face, but inwardly, his anxiety grew. Every second ticking by was not just time, but his dwindling window of freedom. Bang! The door burst open again. Hela strode in, her brow furrowed at the scene. What's going on? It's like this. Vivian explained, outlining the Valkyrie-enhanced learning capacity theory. You're saying his learning ability has been amplified? Vivian. Preliminary observation suggests so. If you'd permit me to trepan his skull for testing, I could give you a definitive answer. Harlan thought sourly, this old bat's obsessed with brain juice. How much does she like brain stew? Hela waved off Vivian's request. If the subject's brain was enhanced, it could be far more valuable to the organization than a disposable operative. Brainwashing to instill loyalty was paramount. She turned to Vivian. "Is the brainwashing apparatus ready?" "Calibrated and ready." Vivian gestured to the equipment in the room. Harlan's ears perked up. So this was the brainwashing room. Crap, he had to hurry. Just then, the interface dinged, a new notification. Basic assembly learning progress 90%. Plus 10%. You have learned basic mechanic knowledge. Mechanics class skill tree unlocked. You have gained a new class, Mechanic Initiate. Chi plus 10, Intelligence plus 1. Stamina plus 1. Gained 2 free attribute points. Gained 1 potential point. You have learned new skills. Basic mechanical affinity, simple repair, simple augmentation and modification. A surge of warmth flooded his body, clearing his mind. Unlike the game's abstract skill acquisition, the mechanical knowledge he'd previously struggled to grasp now clicked into place. Imprinted on his mind, real, tangible knowledge. The sudden shift nearly broke Harlan's stoic facade. He almost dropped the book in shock. Game mechanics. Actually learned and understood in reality. Seriously, if Star Ocean was real, why hadn't Earth unified to dominate the galaxy yet? Something's definitely not right. Harlan thought, reeling, his personal interface updated. Name, Harlan Race, carbon-based human, yellow template, NPC, Star Ocean Public Launch version 1. 0 countdown, 358 days, 10 hours, 11 minutes total level, 2 experience, 0 subclass, Commoner LV1, 0/50 main class, Mechanic Initiate LV1, 0/200 health points, 43/50 sprained stamina points, 80/80 personal attributes, Strength 3, Agility 3, Stamina 5, Intelligence 4, Mysticism 1, Charisma 2, Luck 1 free attribute points. 2 Chi 10/10, LV1 Chi bonus, Strength plus 1, Agility plus 1, Stamina plus 1, Stamina cap plus 20 energy level, 3-4 rank, F mortal, just 1 more point of combat power to escape trash mob status. Traits, heightened focus increases learning and crafting speed by 10%. Low-grade mental resilience grants +3 to willpower checks. Skills, basic mechanical affinity LV1. 0/1000 increases comprehension of mechanics. Simple repair LV1. 0/400 performs basic repairs on simple machinery. Simple augmentation and modification LV1. 0/600 performs simple augmentations on basic machinery. Potential points. 1 class skill tree, weapons. Basic assembly LV1, 19 unlearned skills, energy. 20 unlearned skills, control. 20 unlearned skills, influence. 0 legendary status. 0 equipment. Non-strength determined melee damage and encumbrance capacity. Allowing use of heavier equipment. Agility governed movement speed. Attack speed, evasion and ranged damage. Stamina boosted health and stamina. Each point of stamina added 10 base health and 12 base stamina. Though traits and skills could modify this ratio, stamina also increased health and stamina regeneration. All actions consumed stamina, attacking, blocking, running, walking, swimming, crafting, etc. Stamina also contributed to physical defense, separate from equipment armor. Defense calculations were complex, factoring in damage type melee, ranged, bullet, energy, damage intensity, attacker stats, and armor material. The game's quantum computers handled these calculations behind the scenes. For players, the rule of thumb was higher defense, better intelligence, brain processing capacity, determined wisdom and willpower. Higher intelligence accelerated skill proficiency, boosted experience gain, and increased learning and crafting speed. A primary stat for mechanics, influencing the quality of crafted items. Mysticism governed sensitivity to the spiritual realm, determining damage for psychic and magic classes, analogous to strength and agility for martial arts. charisma influenced initial favorability with NPCs and factions, and offered trade discounts. Luck affected certain checks and item drop rates. Free attribute points were used to boost strength, agility, stamina, intelligence. Mysticism, charisma, and luck. Kai, the core stat of Star Ocean, the foundation of awakened power, was gained through leveling and skills. The game described it as bioenergy extracted from cells through specialized cultivation methods. Kai was the hallmark of an awakened. Even genetically awakened psionics needed Kai to fuel their powers. History was littered with awakens drained dry by their own abilities. Reaching Kai milestones granted attribute bonuses. 10 Kai was LV1, 50 Kai LV2, 100 Kai LV3, and so on. The attribute bonuses per level varied with class specialization. Higher-tier classes offered more substantial bonuses. Awakened skills generally consumed Kai. Dwindling Kai below a certain level meant losing the corresponding Kai level attribute bonus. For example, dropping below 10 Kai would negate the LV1 bonus. This state degradation, after skill usage, amplified the importance of combat resource management. Adding layers of tactical depth, Kai regenerated slowly over time or rapidly with stamina expenditure. Depleting Kai entirely and continuing to use Kai-consuming skills would trigger an escalating stamina drain. And then health loss. Awakens drained to death by their own powers died this way. Energy level was a combat power rating determining awakened rank. Radiant Federation scientist Dr. Stewart Owner created energy level theory, unifying all complex energy calculations into a single unit, Owner. Calculations weren't linear, but complex functions with an overall upward curve. EDCBA were awakened ranks. E-rank awakens started at 100 Owner. Hela was a strong E-rank. A-rank was a watershed, calamity class, capable of planetary-scale destruction. Higher ranks existed above A, but for Harlan, currently, those were distant dreams. Gaining the Mechanic Initiate class, and with 2 free attribute points, he could only raise intelligence to 6, still 1 point short of brainwash resistance. Harlan felt a pang of frustration. Leveling up was his only path forward, but how to gain experience? Monster grinding was out. Quest triggers unlikely. Dead end, no escape, then a spark of inspiration. Maybe, just maybe, there was another way. He tossed aside the skill book, spun around, and stared intently at 30,000 credits' holstered sidearm. His expression blank, unfocused, like a man in a daze. Hela frowned, holding back her command, watching Harlan with the others, puzzled by his sudden change in behavior. Harlan tensed his muscles, deliberately making his movements stiff and jerky. He approached 30,000 credits, reaching out, slowly, deliberately. Letting everyone see his actions, reaching for the guard's sidearm. 30,000 credits instinctively covered his weapon, realizing Harlan wasn't trying to snatch it. Just fixated on it, like a child stubbornly clutching a desired toy. Harlan's deliberate slowness prevented 30,000 credits from immediately drawing and firing. Unload the magazine, Hela ordered, intrigued by Harlan's inexplicable actions. She wanted to see what he was up to. 30,000 credits complied. Ejecting the magazine, allowing Harlan to take the pistol. The instant the gun was in his hand, item data flooded his mind. Type 73 Hornet pistol, quality gray. Small caliber sidearm, attack 28 to 35, rate of fire 1.1 rounds/sec, energy output level 13. Components, spring mechanism, slide, firing pin, magazine, missing. Basic assembly had flooded him with mechanical knowledge. The Type 73 Hornet's schematics materialized in his mind. Harlan instantly knew how to assemble it. In the game, crafting was simplified, just a progress bar. Now he had to do it himself, more immersive than any game this. He realized again he wasn't in a game anymore. This was real. Suppressing the flood of emotions, Harlan clumsily began to disassemble the pistol into its components, then, just as awkwardly, began reassembling it. In his skill window, simple repair flickered faintly, 40 seconds. The pistol was reassembled, not particularly fast for a trained operative, even a bit slow. But Hella and the others hadn't forgotten Harlan had zero training. He'd only glanced at a book for 10 minutes. Astonishment rippled through the room. This was the Valkyrie experiment's true effect. Vivian's face lit up, a manic gleam in her eyes. Incredible learning capacity, if I could just dissect his brain. Maybe we could replicate, Jude, brain stew again. How much do you love brains? Harlan repeated the disassemble-reassemble cycle again and again. You have completed a mechanical assembly. Basic, perfection rating 69%, experience gained 28. You have completed a mechanical assembly. Basic, perfection rating 73%, experience gained 32. Star Ocean offered multiple avenues for experience gain. Besides combat and quests, technical and crafting experience were crucial for mechanics. Initially weak in combat, leaned towards support and crafting roles. With practice, his disassembly-reassembly speed accelerated, gradually dropping to under 20 seconds. Hella finally snapped out of her stunned silence, her expression hardening. Initiate brainwashing. Now, just then, Harlan completed his final reassembly. His experience bar finally hitting 200. All points into mechanic initiate. A surge of warmth erupted, a pleasant chime echoing in his mind. Mechanic initiate leveled up to LV2. Kai plus 10, intelligence plus 1, stamina plus 1. Gained 2 free attribute points, gained 1 potential point. Close call. Harlan's tension eased as the guards took back the pistol. Chapter 003. Life's a stage, and all men merely players. Icy shackles locked his wrists and ankles. A metal frame clamped his head, 2 eyelid speculums extending, forcing his eyes open, preventing blinking. Before him, a black screen, flanked by speakers. Harlan was immobilized, staring at the blank screen. How long does brainwashing take? 12 hours. You're on watch, Hella said before leaving with the others. Vivian flicked a switch. The screen flickered to life, displaying unsettling imagery triangles. Circles, waves, morphing shapes, rapidly shifting colors, assaulting Harlan's vision, inducing a profound sense of unease. The speakers pulsed with music, jarringly alternating between frenetic cacophony and soothing melodies, a discordant symphony that instinctively repelled Harlan. He wanted to close his eyes, but the speculums held them wide, blood vessels in his eyeballs engorging, a burning dryness setting in. Ugh, this is awful. A primitive brainwashing method. The brain, a delicate instrument. The principle, sustained visual and auditory conflict to induce mental chaos, followed by recalibration with implanted thought imprints. Crude but effective, and importantly, it minimized brain damage. To Vivian, Harlan's brain was a priceless artifact, a work of art to be preserved. Vivian's predatory gaze sent a shiver of revulsion down Harlan's spine. Like a butcher eyeing a pig, deciding which cut would be the choicest, he had 4 free attribute points. He considered, then allocated 2 to raise intelligence to 7, keeping the remaining 2 in reserve. You are undergoing brainwashing. Low-grade mental resilience check initiated. Intelligence 7, low-grade mental resilience plus 3. Check successful. Brainwashing resisted. The nausea receded, Harlan feeling marginally better. Vivian grumbled about Hella dumping this tedious brainwashing duty on him. Oblivious that right under his nose, Harlan had already become immune. 12 grueling hours later, the final check passed. Harlan had survived the ordeal. Stiff, aching, eyes gritty, Vivian, timing it precisely, shut down the brainwashing equipment. Harlan felt a surge of relief. Reborn, Hella returned. The director had instructed her to oversee Harlan's brainwashing personally, brooking no errors. Hella unlocked his restraints. Blood flow returning to his limbs caused a pins and needles sensation. The constricted areas purplish blue. Harlan winced, but didn't look down. He needed to sell the brainwashed act. Vacant stare, unfocused eyes, fixed straight ahead. Hella suddenly leaned in, her face inches from his, her breath warm on his lips. No romantic undertones for Harlan, too dangerous for such distractions. The woman's perfume filled his nostrils, tickling his nose. He barely stifled a sneeze. Hella's voice, soft, almost hypnotic, murmured, "Who are you?" Brainwashed subjects usually get pre-programmed identities. Faced with unexpected questions, silence is the best response. Harlan subtly shifted his facial muscles, adopting a vacant, shell-shocked expression, deaf to Hella's question. He might not be a master thespian, but he could certainly play catatonic. Hella leaned closer, her breath warm against his ear, her whispered words laced with a subtle, persuasive quality. Auburn curls brushed his neck, ticklish, in his peripheral vision. Hella's unbuttoned tactical suit collar revealed a tantalizing expanse of pale skin, almost blindingly white. Harlan remained unmoved, unflinching, his mind serene as a Buddhist monk. Kangshan has a well-named empty, Songhai has an island called Maple. No way he was falling for the honey trap. From this day forth, your name is Zero. Seedling is your home, your nation, the sanctuary to which you devote yourself. You possess unwavering loyalty to the organization. All your thoughts, all your actions must be for the benefit of Seedling. You will conceal nothing. You will never act against organizational interests. Your purpose is to obey orders, to sacrifice your life for Seedling at any moment. Vivian sneered, adding, "Born Seedling, die Seedling. Even if we turn you into a specimen, you will obey." Hella, who are you? This question, unlike the first, was the litmus test, gauging brainwashing success. Harlan's mind raced, calculating. He didn't answer immediately. Hella's brow furrowed, her gaze snapping to Vivian, sharp and questioning. Vivian muttered, "I followed the procedure precisely. It couldn't have failed." Just then, Harlan spoke, drawing out the words, his voice slow, slurred, feigning delayed response. "I am Zero." Vivian's eyes gleamed, an explanation forming. Valkyrie solution enhanced subject Zero's learning, but a side effect might be diminished emotional expression. Hella considered Zero's earlier fixation on the skill book. He'd indeed seemed oblivious to external stimuli, supporting Vivian's theory. Perhaps the experiment isn't perfect after all. Vivian scoffed. "You're wrong. This is the perfect outcome. What need does cannon fodder have for emotions? Take him to rest. I'll report to the director. Safe. For now." Harlan finally relaxed, a breath escaping his lips. During the brainwashing, he decided to play the slow-witted card, hoping to lower enemy vigilance. Transmigration locations sucked. But at least the timing isn't completely awful. The Valkyrie experiment he'd undergone was just a proto-version of the future super soldier program. No micro-explosive loyalty chips yet. If he'd transmigrated into that timeline, he'd consider early self-termination a mercy. Lady Luck, finally, had deigned to glance his way. Hella dialed an encrypted number. "Director, Subject Zero's condition is stable." A raspy male voice crackled from the receiver. "Brainwashing complete. Personally supervised. No issues. What are your orders for Zero?" "Valkyrie's purpose is to create soldiers. Train him." Hella remained non-committal. "Director's orders were orders. No room for dissent." "How is my sister?" "HMPH, not the terms of our agreement." The male voice held a hint of amusement. "I granted you bi-monthly visitation rights. Don't overstep." Hella's knuckles whitened, her expression darkening. The male voice chuckled, a grating sandpaper rasp, before disconnecting with a sharp click. The Valkyrie Laboratory's architectural palette was white. Underground, the air hung heavy with a sense of oppression. Guards, ever present, moved with predatory purpose, their eyes like cold steel. After a night's rest, Harlan was escorted to a sealed training arena. Hella waited. He wasn't privy to Seedling's plans for him, but he surmised they wouldn't squander his learning ability. Opportunities to gain mechanical skill experience would likely arise. Escape from this heavily fortified base seemed impossible in the short term. Harlan braced himself for a prolonged confinement. 0, starting today. Daily combat and firearms training. Hela tossed a set of protective gear at Harlan's feet. Suit up. Combat training. Harlan quickly donned the gear. Hela shifted her weight, tactical boots scuffing on the floor, a burst of explosive energy. In a blink, she closed the 5-meter gap, reaching Harlan. Her leg, sheathed in black tactical fabric, whistled through the air, cracking like a whip. Thud too fast. Harlan's vision blurred as the kick connected. Despite the protective gear, his ribs groaned in protest, a sharp pain lancing through his chest. He staggered back, coughing, clutching his side. Awakened speed. Even at submaximal effort, several times faster than a normal human, Hela impassive. 30-second break. Continue. Combat training. Brutal, terse. Dialogue-free, just relentless beating. 2 hours passed. Harlan's body screamed in protest, every muscle on fire. He half-suspected Hela had a sadistic streak. Women in dominatrix gear always had a certain inclination. Hela, LV-30, imparting basic melee combat. Progress, 5%, training done. Hela, wordless. Turned and left. A hulking figure entered, dragging Harlan, his body near collapse, to the adjacent firearms range. Firearms instructor, base deputy director. Balota, the muscle-bound man, introduced himself, his features brutal, a jagged scar bisecting his forehead, predatory triangles for eyes, radiating malice. He thrust a Type 73 Hornet into Harlan's hand. 10 training rounds, headshots only, every single one. Harlan froze, man-sized targets 30 meters away. Moving erratically, headshots only, he was a complete firearms novice. Hitting the target at all would be dumb luck, let alone headshots. Olympic sharpshooter-level accuracy. On his first try, Harlan, limbs aching, raised the pistol, squeezed the trigger. Recoil jarred his wrist, a throbbing ache. Bang, bang, bang. 10 rounds fired. Harlan glanced at the electronic scoreboard. Predictably, failing grade. A searing pain ripped across his back. Harlan's heart lurched, with monumental effort. He choked back a scream. He glanced back. Balota, twirling a black tactical knife, licking blood from the blade, his expression a disturbing mix of ecstasy and anticipation. Continue, fail again and you bleed again. Let's see how much blood you've got to spare. Psycho, Harlan seethed inwardly, hand flying to his back. Wet, sticky, blood, through a one-way mirror, Hela and Vivian watched. Vivian shook his head. Such a valuable subject. Balota doesn't appreciate him. Better to dissect him, study him. Hela's eyes flickered with distaste, quickly masked. She glanced at Vivian, a flicker of something unreadable in her gaze. The organization won't approve, Vivian snorted. Once the organization drains his usefulness, he'll end up on my dissection table anyway. I created him. He's mine. Hela knew Vivian spoke truth, seedling's modus operandi. She said nothing. To the organization, Harlan was a tool, less than human. Balota. LV-15, imparting basic firearms. Progress, 5%. Operative subclass unlock progress, 1%. Another blade slash across his arm. Shallow cuts, but they accumulated. His clothes were blood-soaked. Balota watched Harlan, pale but silent, a morbid fascination in his eyes. He reveled in the sensation of blade meeting flesh. In the coppery tang of blood, the crimson blossoms of blood to him were the most beautiful sight. Why no screams? Balota toyed with his knife, voice almost dreamy. No screams, not a proper toy. Sicko, Harlan inhaled deeply, suppressing the urge to slam a fist into Balota's deranged grin. He knew impulsive action would only worsen his situation. Like raging at online teammates in a losing League of Legends match, just digging the hole deeper, the smart move, call for a gank, drag the jungler down with you. Then everyone flames each other. Good times, GG, game over, less time wasted in a lost cause. Back in his hot-headed youth, he'd have unleashed a barrage of insults and a 3-hit combo. But this wasn't a game with respawns. What could he do? Swallow his pride, take the abuse. Laugh now, you creep. You'll be crying soon enough. Harlan ground out. His voice tight, not from anger, from pain. Chapter 004600,000 experience. In magic-themed newbie planets, health and mana potions were health rejuvenation draft. Mana replenishment elixir, that kind of thing. Aquamarine, with its near-Earth setting, had red and blue potions in the form of nutrient tanks and healing agents. After the excruciating firearms training, research personnel hauled Harlan to a nutrient tank filled with healing solution. 2 hours, submerged, the knife wounds scabbed over. Functional, though movement tugged at the wounds, sending throbbing nerve pain through his body, the base had a vacant mechanical workshop, given his demonstrated aptitude for mechanics. He was assigned there, alone. Lathes, raw materials, tools all at his disposal, a surveillance camera in the corner. Harlan wasn't surprised. He was under constant observation. Bookshelves lined the walls, packed with mechanical manuals. Harlan found several basic mechanical skill books: Aquamarine, Star Ocean 687, Newbie Planet. Just barely touched by interstellar civilization, transitioning from old Earth era to new civilization era. Tech level still planetary, Earth equivalent. The best mechanical tech he'd find here would be advanced basics, mechanics skill tree, weapons, energy, control branches, 20 skills per branch, basic. Advanced, high-tier, cutting-edge, ultimate levels. Skill books were a player's progression roadmap, the core of their main class. The first skill book unlocked the main class. Subsequent skill books required potential points. Skill levels were also raised with potential points. Potential points came from 3 sources: leveling up, high-level quest rewards, and maxing out skills. With 2 potential points, he wouldn't learn new skill books yet. Skill books could wait. Saving potential points had other uses. Too many players rushed to spend them early game, only to regret it later when they were truly needed. Potential points became increasingly scarce as characters progressed. Every point was precious. Outside of training, his time was his own. Harlan dedicated it entirely to mechanics, grinding for experience, plotting his escape from this prison. Time flowed, swift and relentless. Harlan used mechanical assembly and augmentation to grind experience. As his proficiency grew, basic mechanical assembly perfection ratings consistently exceeded 90%. Yielding substantial XP, repeatedly assembling the same item yielded diminishing returns, eventually dropping to 0 XP. Luckily, the base armory had diverse firearms. Providing ample assembly fodder, Seedling's guard detail was lax around Harlan, a test subject with memory wiped, brainwashed, a non-threat, no expectation of resistance. Harlan maintained a taciturn, harmless facade, further lulling them into complacency. Seedling initially held high hopes for Harlan, but he knew better than to stand out. Hoarding experience, delaying level-ups, researchers soon lost interest. Mechanical assembly at his level was achievable by trained support personnel. Not the Valkyrie breakthrough they'd envisioned. Observation continued for a month, then the 24/7 surveillance was discontinued. Cease, the lead researcher, declared Subject 0 a failed prototype, diverting resources to Valkyrie solution refinement. No more constant camera scrutiny. Harlan breathed easier. With no returns on investment, Seedling's patience wore thin. Only Vivian and Balota remained fixated on him. Vivian, intrigued by Harlan's anomaly, repeatedly proposed dissection for further study, repeatedly rebuffed by wait-and-see orders. Harlan knew Seedling's style. He'd eventually end up on Vivian's table. This pressure loomed. Balota, unabashed in his love of torment, justified his brutality as motivation for training. He couldn't torment colleagues. So the emotionally blunted test subject became his outlet. Healing solution ensured no permanent damage, and researchers even theorized controlled stress might stimulate further experimental effects. Gradually, Harlan numbed to the pain. He counted each blood splatter, silently biding his time, living in a viper's nest, surrounded by enemies, with no one to talk to. Harlan poured his energy into mechanics, grinding cold metal on the lathe, shaping it, assembling tools. This process, strangely, offered a sense of purpose. Guards carted away crates of supplies from the workshop. Harlan watched silently. Seedling is disappointed. Starting today, 80% resource allocation reduction. A flat-faced man stood before Harlan, smug contempt oozing from his voice, a victor's gaze condescendingly appraising Harlan. Subject 1. The second successful Valkyrie subject. Post Harlan, heard you were the prototype. Seedling poured resources into you, and all you do is tinker with junk. You're a failure. Seedling made the right call replacing you. Subject 1's voice dripped disdain. Brainwashed, Seedling was his religion. He held an inexplicable animosity toward Harlan. Harlan didn't waste breath. Knowing conflict would be foolish, when investments yielded no returns, Seedling shifted focus. Subject 1, demonstrating battlefield aptitude, became the new priority. Resources were redirected. Harlan had anticipated this. Subject 1 was the Valkyrie ideal, combat-ready, physically enhanced, trainable as a weapon. As guards passed, they openly sneered. Tusk, two pathetic specimens, used for experiments turned into cannon fodder, brainwashed, better off dead. Then like them, tone it down, relax, they are brainwashed, they don't understand. Every gaze held indifference, condescension, like viewing lab rats. Test subjects, Seedling's disposable tools, the jeers faded. Harlan lowered his eyes, masking the glint of calculation. 6 months vanished. Harlan mapped Valkyrie Labs' layout. Personnel deployment, underground, 3 levels, a secret facility, small scale, hidden in a wilderness forest, resupplied by air drops, 60 guards stationed here. Hela, lab director. Vivian, head researcher. Periodically, Seedling airdropped memory-wiped human material for experiments. This was Valkyrie Project HQ. Including Harlan and Subject 1, 78 successful subjects produced. Seedling had a dozen branch labs, mass-producing cannon fodder. Most of the 78 were helicoptered elsewhere. Only Subject 1 and 9 elite subjects remained, forming an elite reserve squad, training here. Since Seedling's waning interest, Harlan's life became monotonous. Training, then workshop time, repairing, assembling firearms. The workshop, his sanctuary. Guards ignored Harlan, their gazes sliding past him as if he were furniture. Invisibility offered advantages. Constant mechanical work yielded mountains of experience. Like mistletoe, he quietly siphoned Seedling resources, memorizing basic firearm schematics. Common tech weapons, assembly knowledge gained through repetition, not interface blueprints. Assembly and augmentation yielded separate XP. Assembly XP plateaued. Augmentation grinding began. Cautious. Every augmentation reversed, weapons restored to baseline, hiding his progress. Hela and Balota's training, basic melee combat. Basic firearms skills, unexpected perk, trait unlocked season training, plus 100 base health, survival buffer, subclass operative unlocked, total level. 4. Constant practice, simple repair, simple augmentation and modification to LV4, basic melee combat, basic firearms to LV2, mechanics class, XP intensive. Resource hungry, Seedling's free materials, a lifeline, until 90% of the armory's firearms were assembled. Experience gain in base, maxed out, 600,000 experience points. 6-month accumulation, real-world to game-world time ratio, 6:1, 6 months real time, a month game time. Without quests, monster grinding, this was massive early-game XP. Mechanics class's unique advantage in limited environments. Approve Vivian's request. Dissect Subject 0, he's been asking for weeks. Director's voice on the comm. Hela frowned. You've denied him repeatedly. Seedling invested resources. Returns are required. Director's tone flat. Waste products' only value is salvage. Zero is waste. Hela bit her lip. Understood. Zero wasn't the call's focus. Director shifted topic. Subject 1's squad training progress? Promising. High potential. Excellent. Send them to Night Owl Base for advanced training. Night Owl squad inbound to pick them up. 2-3 days. My sister's visitation day. Hela's voice hardened. No need for Night Owl squad escorts. Good. Chapter 005 Light Power Arm here. Hela exhaled sharply, her fist a pink blur. Exploding with power, a sonic crackle preceding impact as it slammed towards Harlan's chest. Harlan braced, taking the blow, chest cavity constricting. A suffocating pressure. He seized Hela's tactical collar, pivoted, a hip toss, sending Hela sprawling. Hela, unfazed, palm-planted, flipped back to her feet. Effortlessly deflecting the throw, Harlan didn't press the attack, standing, rubbing his chest. Is that all the progress you've made? Hela's tone laced with dissatisfaction. Harlan, silent, deliberately holding back. His performance should have justified organizational abandonment, yet Hela still trained him daily, today's session unusually intense. Hela expected no reply. Zero, silent, emotionless, robotic. She, the director, paradoxically had little to do, training Harlan, one of her few diversions. Learning the director planned to hand Harlan over to Vivian, Hela felt conflicted. Though they barely interacted, 6 months of proximity bred a strange familiarity. Even mundane objects, if used long enough, became cherished, let alone a living being. A flicker of attachment, perhaps. Hela couldn't stomach the thought of Harlan vivisected on Vivian's butcher's block. How many times had familiar faces vanished, one day, then gone forever? Organization's ruthlessness had cost her many friends. And sister. Hela's heart ached. If Zero, at the last moment, displayed combat aptitude, maybe the director would reconsider. Hence today's rigorous training, but miracles were rarely convenient. Director approved Vivian's dissection request. Hela sighed. Technically, Hela's first non-training related sentence to Zero. Hela missed it, but Harlan's eyes, for a split second, sharpened to razors, then dulled again. The inevitable day. Harlan had foreseen this. Seedling's logic, useless assets, liabilities. Cut losses, recoup investment, no regrets. Low profile, low visibility. Demonstrating exceptionalism would only invite harsher exploitation. His NPC status barred him from Seedling's inner circle. Forever a tool, valued only for utility. Otherwise, Harlan wouldn't have minded Seedling employment. Harlan's gaze snagged on a fallen photo, dropped from Hela's pocket during the hip toss. He bent, picked it up. A snapshot. Azure sea, sky meeting horizon, a setting sun painting the sky in fiery hues. 2 young girls side by side, the photo's focus. One, a child Hela, beaming, vibrant. The other, Hela's lookalike, but with snow-white hair, gentle, docile. Hela's face paled, snatching the photo back. Inspecting it for damage, relief flooding her features when she found it intact. She tucked it carefully away, a lingering, searching look at Harlan, then left the training arena. Interface pinged. A new notification. D-rank quest triggered. Night Owl project. Accept/decline. Harlan's eyes narrowed. His first quest in 6 months. No hesitation. Accept. Quest briefing. Seedling's dark, bloody rise. A closely guarded secret among Aquamarine's 6 nations. Hela harbors a hidden past. Is her loyalty to Seedling genuine? A thread of clue uncovered. Follow it for unexpected rewards or unexpected danger, or sell the lead to interested parties for profit. Or bury it. Choice is yours. Quest triggered by the photo. Coincidence? No. Harlan recognized the white-haired girl, Hela's sister, Aurora. Also awakened, but her power opposite Hela's. Hela, aggressive. Aurora, flesh and blood, potent healing, life extension, resurrection, gift and curse. Seedling controlled Aurora, exploited her power, leveraged her as leverage, holding Hela in check, forcing her into Seedling's bloody work, Hela's only concern. Her sister, version 1.0 in-game, Six Nations Seedling War escalating, critical point. Seedling dissected Aurora, her flesh rendered into countless second life healing vials. Battlefield game changers. Hela, frontline, months later, learn the truth. Hela shattered. Seedling anticipated her reaction. Elite operatives captured her. Imprisoned her. Hela endured inhuman torture, but the burning vengeance fueled her resilience. She endured, escaped. After Hela, ruthless, brutal, countless lives sacrificed to hone her powers. Embracing darkness, becoming the shattered star ring's feared death goddess. Current Hela, cold, detached, but compared to future genocidal death goddess. A saint, given a chance, Harlan wanted to help alter her tragic path, not from pity but self-preservation. Future Hela, a homicidal maniac, indiscriminate carnage. Harlan's bad luck meant multiple encounters, always ending with his ship vaporized, crippling losses. Changing Hela's future hinged on Aurora, but power-wise. Harlan wasn't there yet. Escape priority 1. Bi-monthly, Hela left the lab, 2 days until her next departure. His experience reserves full opportunity. Finally, back in his workshop, Harlan summoned the interface. 3 classes, Commoner, Operative, Mechanic. Initiate, Commoner, negligible. The other 2. His escape capital. 5 awakened classes, Mechanics, initially weakest, but his forte. No regrets, early game mechanics, support/utility. Version 3. 0. High-tier skill trees unlocked. Mechanics combat power skyrocketed, popular class, rivaling even the player-heavy martial arts. Late game, high-tier mechanic. A one-man interstellar fleet. Mechanic skills, notoriously numerous. Every blueprint a new skill. Thousands of blueprints. High late-game potential. Versatile combat styles. Trap build, turret build, heavy artillery build, sniper build, army build, mech build. Drawbacks. XP devouring. Mechanics class progression. Several times more XP hungry than other classes. Mechanics class, massive funding required, another limitation. Seedling, thankfully, provided free materials. 6 months accumulation, 600k XP. Near total resource depletion. Mechanic initiate, level 2 to max LV10, 130k XP. Plus 8 stamina, plus 8 intelligence, plus 100 Chi. 16 free attribute points, 8 potential points. Total level, 12. Main class, priority leveling, Chi gain, best value. Mechanic initiate LV10 maxed, no class advancement requirements met. Expected, shelved for now. Operative, LV9, 80k XP. Operative class, plus 12 strength, plus 9 agility, plus 3 charisma, 9 potential points, 9 free attribute points. Total level, 20. Character classes, unlimited, but every 20 levels bottleneck. Advancement quest required for further leveling. Total level cap version locked. Version 1.0 cap, 60, Star Ocean, hundreds of classes, infinite builds. Late game personalization key, no fixed builds, every character unique. Long-term engagement. But Harlan's interface, no level cap. He could surpass player version limitations. Version 1.0/2.0, player zones, newbie planets, deep space, interstellar powers. Always existed, just inaccessible to players. Version caps, player restrictions. NPC, no such limitations. Level 20 advancement quest. Learn an advanced mechanics skill. Advanced skills prerequisite. 1 branches 5 basic skills. Bases weapons branch incomplete. No-go, 150k XP, simple repair, simple augmentation and modification. LV10 max, 2 potential points. Crucial for plan, 10k XP, basic mechanical affinity, LV3, Star Ocean expertise, 60k XP, basic melee combat, basic firearms to LV6. 2 new skills, grapple precision shot, last 170k XP, blueprint gamble fund, blueprint creation, mechanics core, class skill ups, auto blueprint gain. Method 1, Method 2, quests special NPCs. Unique blueprints rare. Method 3, disassemble machinery, reverse engineer blueprints, harsh conditions. Massive XP cost method 4, main method, knowledge fusion. 2 or more skill books fused, correct combo, new blueprint. Fusion XP cost, 60 skill books. Countless combos, hidden blueprints. Each combo, multiple blueprints, 1 blueprint per fusion. Hidden blueprint prerequisites, combo blueprint count. Unknown, same combo, fusion XP cost doubles, no new blueprint, no XP refund. Blueprint gamble, mechanics classes unique feature, versatile combat. Late game power source, XP black hole, pre-transmigration, player discovered combos, thousands, decade plus experience. Harlan, 80 to 90% combo knowledge. Mechanics class advantage, minimize early game weakness. Rare blueprints, early game mechanic god tier items, rarely used feature, free creation, player designed machinery. 99% chance, scrap metal. Success, dependent on design logic, material quality, skill book levels, traits, tools, pre-transmigration version, free creation. Underdeveloped, player-designed machinery, inferior to blueprint-based items. Function, a gimmick, class level-ups, 19 potential points, skill max-outs. 2 more, 21 total. Harlan grabbed pre-selected skill books, deep breath, potential point allocation. Spend 1 potential point to learn weapons branch. Basic mechanical engineering, spend 1 potential point to learn weapons branch, basic bionics. Confirm, knowledge deluge, brain overload, throbbing. Near explosion, agony twisting his face. 10 minutes, pain subsided, unfamiliar mechanical concepts etched into his mind. 2 potential points, basic mechanical engineering. Basic bionics, LV2, deeper understanding. LV2 basic mechanical engineering plus LV2 basic bionics, 6 blueprints. Same combo, XP cost doubles each fusion. Base cost 10k, 170k XP, 4 fusions. 4th fusion must yield that item. Nerves frayed, palms sweating, Harlan dragged basic mechanical engineering LV2. Basic bionics LV2 together in the interface, knowledge fusion, basic mechanical engineering plus basic bionics. Fusion cost, 10,000 XP, yes, brain fog. Flash of disorientation, a new blueprint materialized, fusion successful, Yan Glider blueprint acquired, not this one, Harlan clenched his fist. Continue fusion cost, 20,000 XP, fusion successful, bionic prosthetic blueprint acquired, crap, trash tier blueprints, not this either, 1 more try. Fusion cost, 40,000 XP, fusion successful, light power arm blueprint acquired, got it. Harlan slammed his hand on the table, rattling a loose screw. Yes, light power arm, that's the one. 6 months grind, almost all XP gone. Name, Harlan race, carbon-based human, yellow template, NPC, Star Ocean public launch version 1. 0 countdown, 182 days, 8 hours, 23 minutes total level, 20 advancement quests incomplete, experience points, 100,000 subclass, commoner LV1, operative LV9, 0/25. 000, main class, mechanic initiate LV10 max, advancement quest incomplete, health points, 320/320 stamina points, 434/434 attributes, strength 21. Agility 17, stamina 22, intelligence 15, mysticism 1, charisma 5, luck 1 free attribute points, 27 Kai, 120, LV3 LV1 Kai bonus, strength +1, agility +1. Stamina +1, stamina cap +20 LV2 Kai bonus, strength +3, agility +2, stamina +3, stamina cap +50 LV3 Kai bonus, strength +3, agility +3, stamina +5, stamina cap +100 energy level. 48-55 rank, F mortal, compared to weakest awakened, you're a slightly larger aunt. Traits, heightened focus, low-grade mental resilience, seasoned training, plus 100 base health skills. Mechanics. Basic mechanical affinity LV3, simple repair LV10, max, simple augmentation and modification LV10, max, blueprint Yan glider LV1, 0/5. 000, blueprint bionic prosthetic LV1, 0/2000, blueprint light power arm LV1, 0/10,000, operative, basic melee combat LV6, 0/16,000, plus 6% unarmed attack. Basic firearms LV6, 0/16,000, plus 6% firearm accuracy. Grapple LV1, 0/3,000, plus 3% parry counter chance, plus 2% unarmed attack. Precision shot LV1, 0/3,000, plus 3% firearm accuracy. Plus 2% ranged crit chance. Potential points. 17 class skill tree. Weapons. Basic assembly LV1, 0/1. Basic mechanical engineering LV2, 0/1. Basic bionics LV2, 0/1. 17 unlearned skills. Energy. 20 unlearned skills. Control. 20 unlearned skills. Influence. 0 legendary status. 0 6 months grinding, straight to level 20. Combat power surge. 27 free attribute points. 5 points into intelligence. To 20 light power arm blueprint crafting requirement met. Remaining points. Reserved emergency fund. Final step. Arm himself. Workshop floor littered with mechanical parts. Harlan smirked. I'll show you what raising a tiger cub means.